Hare Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare
Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare
Hare Rama 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 Hare
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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Rama
वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। अनंतकोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। नामाचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। All glories to the assembled devotees. Please accept my humble obeisances. This is Bhagavati Vasudha Devidasi from Mangalore, India. Please forgive me for stopping all of you from ecstatic chanting. Now let us move on to the next part of the session. I would like to read the 10 offenses to the holy name given by Vyasadeva in Padma Purana. 1. To blaspheme the devotees who have dedicated their life for propagating the holy name of the Lord. 2. To consider the names of demigods like Lord Shiva or Lord Brahma to be equal to or independent of the name of the Lord Vishnu. 3. To disobey the orders of the spiritual master. 4. To blaspheme the Vedic scriptures or scriptures and Persians to the Vedic version. 5. To consider the glories of chanting Hare Krishna to be an imagination. 6. To give some interpretations to the holy name of the Lord. 7. To commit sinful activities on the strength of the holy name. 8. To consider the chanting of Hare Krishna as one of the auspicious ritualistic activities which are offered in the Vedas as fruitive activities karma kanda. 9. To instruct a faithless person about the glories of the holy name. 10. To not have complete faith in the chanting of the holy name and to maintain material attachments even after understanding so many instructions on this matter. It is also an offense to be inattentive while chanting. Every devotee who claims to be a Vaishnava must guard against these offenses in order to quickly achieve the desired success. Krishna Prem. So once again, I thank everyone for joining today's Bhakti Sangha conference call. Let us move on to the next session, that is Srimad Bhagavatam class. May I know who all are joining the call today?
हरे कृष्ण भगवती वसुधा माता जी दंडवत प्रणाम शिला प्रभुपाद की जय गुरु महाराज की जय प्रीति दासी फ्रॉम शार्लोट हरे कृष्णा
Hare Krishna Preeti Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you Mataji for joining Bhakti Sangha conference call. Hare Krishna.
हरे कृष्णा
Hare Krishna Bhagavati Vasudha Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. This is Vinita Gandharvika Devidasi from College Station, Texas. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Vinita Gandharika Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you Mataji for joining Bhakti Sangha conference call. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Bhagavati Vasudha Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga, and all the glories to the assembled devotees. This is Manjri Lila Devidasi from Naperville. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Manjar Leela Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you Mataji for joining Bhakti Sangha conference call. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Bhagavati Vasudha Mataji, O Guru Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharajis. My humble obeisances to you and all the devotees. This is Krishna Kumari Devidasi from Raleigh. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Krishna Kumari Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you Mataji for joining Bhakti Sangha conference call. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Bhagavati Vasundhara Mataji, Dandavat Pranam to you and all the devotees. All glories to Prabhupada, all glories to Guru Maharaj, all glories to Assembled devotee. This is Mohini Lakshmi from Detroit.
Hare Krishna, Mohini Lakshmi Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you, Mataji, for joining Bhakti Sangha conference call. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Bhagavati Vasudha Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances to all the assembled devotees, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Mataji, for your wonderful services. And this is Sundarangi Radha Devi Dasi from Canada. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Sundarangi Radha Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you, Mataji, for joining Bhakti Sangha conference call. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much for all your sincere services. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Are there anyone who would like to introduce in the call today? Okay, I welcome all of you once again. Thank you everyone for joining today's Bhakti Sangha conference call. Today we are really fortunate to have His Grace Govardhan Giri Prabhuji to enlighten us on the topic of Srimad Bhagavatam, verse 7.15.14 onwards. Before I hand over the call to Prabhuji, I would like to hand over the call to Mataji for the brief introduction. Hare Krishna, Sundarangi Mataji, over to you.
Hare Krishna Mataji, thank you so much for giving me the opportunity. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Today we are so fortunate to have His Grace Govardhan Giri Prabhuji as our speaker today. Here is a brief introduction about Prabhuji. Prabhuji joined ISKCON in 1994 in Krishna Katha days, the Middle East. He speaks in English, Hindi, Malayalam and Tamil and has served devotees in Krishna Katha days who speaks these languages through classes and training. He was chiefly instrumental in developing the Malayalam preaching in Krishna Katha days, where he served from 1994 till 2008 today. So the Malayalam speaking congregation there is a very huge community. Many of those devotees have come back to Kerala and started new preaching endeavors. He has also been a servant of PBT and has served in the team that published the Srimad Bhagavatam in Malayalam and has assisted in translation of Nectar of Devotion and currently serving the team that is working on the translation of Chaitanya Charitamrita. His principal service also includes serving as the chief editor of Bhagavat Darsanam, the Malayalam BTG, since its inception in 2010. He is also serving as a member of the Kerala Management Council, which assists the GBC regional secretaries. He still trains devotees in Krishna Katha days through electronic media, which includes weekly sessions of Chaitanya Charitamrita chapter-wise overview and Srimad Bhagavatam chapter-wise overview. In Malayalam and Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita overview in English also. During the lockdown also, Prabhuji did so many services. He conducted an online Bhagavad Gita course for beginners, which was attended by over 1,000 newcomers. He continues to conduct follow-up classes for these people online. He is currently stationed in Trivandrum and actively engages in various local preaching programs as well as programs throughout the state of Kerala. Prabhuji also gives nectarian classes on Sri Chaitanya Bhagavatam in our Bhakti Sangha Japa group also. All glories to all Prabhuji's services. And this is a brief introduction about Prabhuji Mataji. Now I will hand over the call to you. Over to you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. You are muted, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, thank you, Mataji, for this brief introduction on Prabhuji. So, like Prabhuji said to start, join. So, we will wait for Prabhuji to join. By then, if anyone would like to introduce themselves, they can go ahead.
Sundarangi Mataji, you can sing Hare Krishna Mataji. Prabhuji will join anytime, sing Hare Krishna.
Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita
Oh,
Gadadhara
Prabhuji's
Shivasadi Gauri Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Dandavas Pranam. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you, Prabhuji, for giving your valuable time and association in this Bhakti Sangha conference call. We are really fortunate to hear from you today on the topic of Srimad Bhagavatam. Today's verse is 7.15.14, Prabhuji. Over to you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhu, we cannot hear you. Volume is little low.
Hare Krishna. Is it okay now? Hare Krishna. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay.
Yes, Prabhu.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tadho Jayamudire Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavatasya Veya Bhagavatyuttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtike Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangam Lankhayate Girim Yatkripa Tamaham Mande Shri Guru Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Sri Chaitanya Ishwaram Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Dinamine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna. So we are reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, 7th canto, chapter 15. We are reading from text 14 today. Yastvichaya kritah pumbir abhaso hyashramat prithak swabhava vihito dharmaha kasya neshta prashantaye. Translation: a pretentious religious system manufactured by one who willfully neglects the prescribed duties of his order of life is called abhasa, a dim reflection or false similarity. But if one performs the prescribed duties for his particular ashrama or varna, why are they not sufficient to mitigate all material distresses? Purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. It is indicated here that everyone should strictly follow the principles of Varna and Ashrama as given in the Shastra. In the Vishnu Purana 3.8.9 it is said, Varnashramavata Varnashramacharavata Purushena Paraf Puman Vishnur Aradhyate Pantha Nanyat Tattosha Karanam. One should focus upon the destination for progress, which is to become Krishna conscious. This is the aim and end of all Varnas and Ashramas. However, if Vishnu is not worshipped, the followers of the Varnasrama institution manufacture some concocted god. Thus, it has now become fashionable for any rascal or fool to be elected god. And there are many missionaries who have concocted their own gods, giving up their relationship with the real God. In Bhagavad Gita, it is clearly said that one who worships the demigods has lost his intelligence. Nonetheless, we find that even an illiterate person who has lost all intelligence is elected God. And although he has a temple, it has meat-eating sannyasis and many polluted activities go on there. This type of religious system, which misguides its poor followers, is strictly forbidden. Such pretentious religions should be stopped altogether. The original system is that a Brahmana should actually become a Brahmana. He should not only take birth in a Brahmana family, but must also be qualified. Also, even if one is not born in a Brahmana family, but has Brahmanical qualifications, he must be considered a Brahmana. By strictly following the system, one can be happy without extra endeavor. Swabhava vihito dharmaha kasya neshta prashantaye. The real aim of life is to mitigate distress, and one can do this very easily by following the principles of Shastra. Om Tat Sat. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So, this is the section where Narada Maharshi is speaking about the 4 varnas, 4 ashramas, and this particular chapter is instructions for civilized human beings. So therefore, we can take this to be as instructions for us because we are supposedly civilized human beings. Therefore, we should take these instructions to heart. We should take these instructions very seriously, like that. So, this particular shloka, as Srila Prabhupada says in the beginning of the purport, that it is indicated here that everyone should strictly follow the principles of Varna and Ashrama as given in the Shastra. That whole thing has to be studied together because the shloka speaks about Ashramat Prithak, and that is Abhasa. That is, this is something that according to one's own convenience, according to one's own mental concoction, one makes a dharma for oneself, considering that I am in a particular varna and ashrama, then I concoct something. That is to be rejected because that cannot give you any real benefit whatsoever. It cannot give any real benefit whatsoever. Why? Because Varnashrama Dharma as it is given by Krishna because it is a step-by-step process through which one goes through life, understanding what is Dharma, executing what is Dharma, and eventually one reaches the point of perfection. Although this whole Varnashram Dharma system is operating on the material in the material world only, right? And it is operated in such a way that people in a particular guna is considered to be in a particular varna. Guna karma vibhagasha, right? Chaturvarnyam maya srishtam guna karma vibhagasha. So according to one's guna and karma, one is in a particular varnashre, say Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, or Shudra. All these things, if you see all these 4 varnas, they are actually under the 3 modes of material nature only, right? So one trains oneself to even become a Brahmana, then where you are getting is up to the Sattva-guna level. Is it not? So simply having a Varna system alone does not mitigate all the problems. We must understand. And because of our lack of properly understanding this, we find that, especially in Bharata, in the Kali Yuga, we find that this whole Varna system has gone topsy-turvy and, people taking advantage of other people based on this Varna consideration, etc., etc. Everything went upside down. So this Varna and Ashrama are to be coupled together. That is why it is called Varna Ashrama Dharma. And when you add the word Ashrama to all your 4 ashramas, Brahmacharya, Grihastha, Vanaprastha, Sannyasa, Ashrama. All 4 are ashramas. And as Srila Prabhupada mentions here in the purport, the very first point Prabhupada raises is that he is quoting from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela, chapter 8, in the discussion between Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his great associate, where they are discussing what is the best thing, what is the topmost thing, correct? Ramananda Rai. They are discussing what is the topmost thing. And this is the first point they are discussing about Varnashrama. So for that, this Vishnu Purana shloka is quoted, Varnashramavata Varnashramacharvata Purushena Parapuman Vishnu Aradhyate Pantha Nanyat Tattoshakaranam. Na Anyat Tattoshakaranam. That is, there is no other way to propitiate who Purushena Parapuman. That Parama Purusha, the Supreme Lord, can be propitiated if you perform this Varnashrama Achara properly. And what is that Varnashrama Achara? That is also given. Vishnu Aradhyate Pantha. The way is, the path is worshipping Lord Vishnu. So it's very interesting that the word ashrama has a meaning. One of the meanings of the word ashrama is a place where the Supreme Lord is worshipped. A place where Vishnu is worshipped is called ashrama. So whether you are brahmachari, whether you are grihastha, whether you are sannyasi, whether you are vanaprasthi, your basic dharma, intrinsic dharma, that which cannot be given up is worship of the Supreme Lord. The other dharmas related to the particular time period in life, that may change. Dharma related to the particular varna that one is assigned to, that also may, keep shifting through life. But the intrinsic dharma of worshipping the Supreme Lord remains. But that system is not clearly understood, especially in Kali Yuga. And also, because in Kali Yuga, people don't have very refined intelligence. They are not able to follow the rules even that is given in Manu Samhita. It cannot be followed properly in Kali Yuga because people don't understand what exactly Manu is trying to say. And to the extent that in this particular Kali Yuga, Manu has become aprakat. He has become invisible. Therefore, there is no Manu in the current age, time, there is no Manu to enforce that. So therefore, there is total chaos. There is chaos. Nobody knows what to do. So Srila Prabhupada says in the purport that people are concocting and making somebody God and giving up their relationship with the real God. See, this is that ashramat prithak. You have a separate, that is, you have a particular varna ashrama you are assigned based on your guna and karma, which what you call, you may say I am this and this, but actually you will be that based on what your gunas are, what type of activities you perform. Okay. So instead of understanding that and based on Shastra, following that, you do different things. And you can create your own God. And then you can worship that God. And then you have, in this purport, those people who know will know who Prabhupada is referring to here about the ashramas having meat-eating sannyasis, etc., etc. Many polluting activities going on. So that we are not, we don't want to get into that because in the present age, there are many such things going on. Many concocted gods, God-men. I am God, you are God, everybody is God. That has actually put the entire Sanatana Dharma into such a big calamity. Actually. This concept of I am God, you are God, everybody is God, and that attracts a lot of people, because everybody wants to play God anyway. The richest people on the planet, they are all trying to play God, right? Whether it is through administration, whether it is through health, whether it is through, I don't know, genetic engineering, genetic modification. You see, everybody wants to play God. The moment you have money and power, you want to play God. Is it not? So when somebody is fueling that ego, saying that I am God, you are God, everybody is God. So even those people who don't have that kind of position, but everybody has a God complex, so everybody accepts. It is not only the richest and the most influential and the most powerful people who have God complex. Everybody has a God complex. And these type of thoughts and these types of what you call duplicates, they appeal to our God complex. And so we become very attracted. But Krishna very clearly says, Krishna very clearly tells right in the beginning of Bhagavad Gita, when Arjuna says, Guru nahatva hi mahanubhavan srayo bhoktum bhikshamapi haloke hitvartakamam guru nihaiva bhunjiya bhogan rudra pradigdan. Arjuna says, I will become a beggar rather than killing all these people. Bhunjiya bhogan rudra pradigdan. He says that every morsel of food I eat, that will be tainted by the blood of all these people. And who are they? They are all my relatives. They are all my relatives. See, very whimsically trying to give up one's dharma. That is actually what is happening to Arjuna here. But he is presenting it in a very, very polished, sophisticated way. And to many people, this will be very appealing. See, look at him. He actually is propagating ahimsa. He does not want to kill. Is it not? And then look at Krishna. Instead of accepting, okay, let us not have violence, Krishna is telling him no. Krishna is telling Nimitta Matra Bhavasavya Sachin. You become, simply an instrument in this fight. What Krishna doesn't explicitly say, but is implied to Arjuna through his words is that Arjuna, by nature, he is a Kshatriya. He has the tendency to control. As a Kshatriya, he controls, he dispenses justice, he protects. So, what is Krishna implying is that even if you become a beggar, you will end up being a beggar king, king of the beggars. Other beggars will come to you with problems created by some other beggars. You will sit as judge and you will be, judging on beggars, punishing beggars and running a beggar kingdom. So Krishna is telling Arjuna, rather than doing that, be a proper king. No? Rather than going, because your intrinsic nature is this, as a Kshatriya. So even if you don't fight in this war and you run away wherever you go, your tendency will take over and you will act. But where will you act? You will act in inappropriate places and in inappropriate circumstances. You will have this tendency will come out. And whom does it benefit? It doesn't benefit anybody. But now if you fight according to my instruction, it will benefit everyone. Why? You will establish dharma and you become an instrument in my hand to re-establish dharma. So which is more glorious? So Arjuna is very intelligent. He understands. After giving this example of let me beg rather than, this eating food, every morsel tainted with blood and all. Very dramatic way of presenting. But Krishna sees right through it. Krishna can see right through all our intentions. After all, he is Antaryami Paramatma, residing with each and every one of us. So each and every such tendency can be seen by Krishna. Therefore, it is better that we follow the rules and regulations. Because without dharma, we actually are no more human beings. Manushya means you should follow dharma. Varna ashrama are secondary, but dharma, we should know what is dharma. We should know what is dharma, and not only that, we should also perform that dharma. Prabhupada says in one of the purports in Bhagavad Gita that knowing and not doing, Prabhupada says that is because of we are tainted, our intentions are tainted with lust. So we don't want to perform dharma. So we look for shortcuts instead of performing dharma properly. And that Krishna rejects. Krishna rejects that. In the 16th chapter, Bhagavad Gita, divine and demoniac natures, Yashastra vidimutfrijya vartate kamakarta na siddhim avapnoti na sukham na param gatim. So if you give up Shastra Vidhi, if you give up the instructions of Shastra, how do you do that? Vartate kamakarata. You're doing that because of kama, because of lust. And what will happen to you? You will not get sukham, you will not get param gati. Why do people tend to forego dharma? Because dharma, people identify dharma as something restrictive, right? You find that don't do this, don't do that, don't do this, don't do that. So you are willing to forego dharma, thinking that foregoing dharma will make me free and then I can enjoy more. Correct? So I am not adhering to any dharma. I am a human being. The humanity is my religion. Many people speak all these kinds of just like this Arjuna saying, I'll become a beggar. Many people, the intention is that I want to enjoy without any restriction. In order to justify that, we will say humanity is my religion. I am not religious, I am spiritual. We hear all these things. All these things are cloaking the actual reason behind it, which is lust. Attraction to material enjoyment. As simple as that. I am not saying it, Krishna is saying. Kama karata. So that is making people do this, foregoing dharma. And Krishna says, if you do that, na sukham. So you're thinking you will get sukham. You think that you will become more happy. We think we become more happy, but we don't become more happy. Because all these things ultimately lead to more distress only. We can take so many examples from Purana. That famous interaction between Duryodhana and Vidura. This comes in Mahabharata. But Duryodhana actually tells Vidura that I know what is dharma and I know what is adharma. And Duryodhana says, but somehow I am not able to give up this tendency. Somehow I want to see the Pandavas suffer. He makes that very clear to Vidura in one conversation. This is there. It's a very interesting conversation in the Mahabharata. So, Prabhupada says that knowingly that this is going against dharma, knowingly that this is dharma, but I am foregoing it, that is because we have got too much attraction to material enjoyment. We have got too much attraction for material enjoyment. Therefore, I am thinking this dharma is restrictive. But the fact is that dharma defines who we are. Dharma defines who we are. This dharma is our culture. This Sanatana dharma, the culture, the sanskara, is based on this dharma. We keep saying Vedic culture, Vedic culture, Vedic culture. Correct? Actually, that is the only culture. Only in Veda, you actually see real culture. Why? Because it defines what is dharma. And that definition of dharma is not given by some Tom, Dick and Harry. Definition of dharma is given by the Supreme Lord himself. Veda Shruti, that is actually from the lotus mouth of the Supreme Lord only. And it is that Veda that defines dharma. And that dharma we are supposed to adhere to. Because there is no dharmic instruction for Pashu, Pakshi and others. For animals and birds, there is no dharmic regulation, do's and don'ts are not given. It is only for human beings. So therefore, in order to call ourselves human beings, we must be adhering to dharma. If we cannot adhere to dharma, we are no more human beings. So this particular shloka, Narada Muni is saying that Swabhava Vihito Dharma Kasya Neshta Prashantaye. That is, it is like a question he is asking. But if one performs the prescribed duties for his particular ashrama or varna, why are they not sufficient to mitigate all material distresses? Meaning, if you perform prescribed duties, then that is sufficient to mitigate material distress. Now again, this needs to be examined a little further, especially from the lens of Kali Yuga. From the lens of Kali Yuga, we have to check this a little bit further. Because definition of dharma, as we say, it is given in the Vedas. But then we understand that the Vedic literature is too vast, too deep. And you don't have so many people who are learned in the Vedas anymore. You don't have too many people, hardly anybody. First of all, it is too big for one person to learn it in Kali Yuga within even if you have a 100-year span of life, and even if you start studying from the age of 4, you study for 96 years also, you cannot cover it. You cannot cover it. One big Upanishad itself takes 10 to 12 to 20 years, depending on how you are studying it. So where is the question of knowing all the Vedic literature? Not possible. Practical. And even if you know something, even if you hear from somebody who knows a bit from here, a bit from there, a bit from here, a bit from there, some Vedanta Sutra, some Upanishad, some Brahmana, some Aranyaka, it will all be mixed up. A lot of Karmakandiya yajnas will be mentioned. Some Jnana will be mentioned. Hardly any Upasana will be mentioned. So you are confused. So we are all confused what to do. Somebody will say you have to do this. Somebody will say you have to do that. So where is the consensus? So for Kali Yuga people, the consensus is given by Vyasadeva through this Srimad Bhagavatam. This Srimad Bhagavatam, right from its first shloka, where Vyasadeva is establishing Lord Vasudeva as Satyam Param Dhimahi, that he is the supreme absolute truth. And then he continues to, throughout the Bhagavatam, the Supreme Lord, his name, his activities, his gunas, his leelas, everything is described. And the process of hearing, process of chanting, process of remembering, process of meditating, everything on the Supreme Lord is given. So that makes things a lot easier for us. Because ultimately, as Shastra says, the intrinsic dharma is service to the Supreme Lord. Ultimately, what pleases the Supreme Lord is dharma. So whatever I am doing in the name of dharma should have that aim of pleasing the Supreme Lord. It is not that I do this karmakandiya dharma so that I can get artha with which I can fulfill my kama, like that. No. So that process is very dangerous for Kali Yuga. Because we have very short lifespan. And by the time we finish, fulfilling all our kamas, our life will go. Therefore, that process is not at all advisable purely from a risk point of view. We are all people who analyze risk. I'm sure many people have in their jobs, analyzing risk, foreseeing risk, mitigating risk. It's big business. And whatever discipline you are in, everywhere there is risk mitigation is there, right? We want to minimize risk and maximize result. Similarly, with our own lives as human beings, we should know, we should be able to foresee the risk, mitigate, minimize, and maximize the result. For that, we have to follow the dharma that is initiated in the Srimad Bhagavatam, the Bhagavata dharma. And that Bhagavata dharma is explained very nicely by our Acharya Srila Prabhupada. And it is recommended by none other than the Supreme Lord, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. That is why we see Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in public, he would do Nam Sankirtan. Correct? His Nagar Sankirtan, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Sankirtan is very famous. He will inundate general public in transcendental bliss with this Bada Kirtan pastimes. His Kirtan in front of Jagannath Rath Yatra, where lakhs of people will come and hear the Kirtan, and they all become influenced by the holy names of Krishna. And in his circle of associates, he is always discussing the Srimad Bhagavatam. So by his own personal example that he has set, we have to follow it. That is why it is very important that we study the Srimad Bhagavatam from this point of view. What point of view? Our way of understanding dharma is through the study of Srimad Bhagavatam. Because other Varna Ashrama considerations in Kali Yuga especially, they are very hazy. And the lines are very blurred. So it's very difficult to say whether I am a Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya or Shudra, whether I am a Brahmachari, Grihastha, Vanaprasthi, Sannyasi. Everything is mixed with everything. So therefore, beyond that, as I said, by properly following that, one develops Brahmanical qualities and get to the Brahmana level. But that is not enough, no, to go back to Godhead. By acting on that level, one must transcend that Sattva Guna, move on to Shuddha Sattva. Then only we will be able to give up this Punarapi Jananam, Punarapi Maranam. That circle, if we want to give up, we have to, overcome. We must get enough escape velocity to leave that orbit of this material, the orbit of repeated birth and death in this material world. So what gives us that escape velocity is this practice of bhakti, which includes the hearing of Srimad Bhagavatam on a regular basis in satsanga. Because another thing very important is that the Shastra Vidhi is there. Shastra Vidhi is there. But because we are very contaminated in this Kali Yuga, our intelligence is conditioned in a particular way. Without the association of other Vaishnavas, it is very difficult. It is very difficult to make progress. Therefore, it is not simply Bhagavata Shravanam. Bhagavata Shravanam, in the association of the Vaishnavas, that gives us an understanding of what is Dharma. And also, the association of the Vaishnavas give us that impetus to practice that Dharma. So therefore, this whole system is devised by our Acharyas in this way, so that although we are disadvantaged a lot because of Kali Yuga and because of our lack of intelligence, because of our lack of proper perspective of things, because of our very heavy conditionings that we have in this material. So, Prashantaye, how do we become peaceful? Because we have to be peaceful even to execute devotional service properly. We have to be peaceful even to execute devotional service properly. Like Bhagavad Gita says, Ashantasya kuta sukham. If you don't have peace, where is happiness? So unless there is peace, there is no happiness. So how does one become peaceful? By hearing in the association of Vaishnavas, by hearing in the association of Bhagavatas, by hearing from Bhagavatas, we become peaceful. Because that is one great thing about Krishna Katha, about Bhagavad Katha, that it brings peace. And in that peaceful state, slowly we are able to develop our relationship with Krishna, that personal relationship through chanting and hearing. What we are developing is in that peaceful state brought about by the association of the devotees. That way, we will please Krishna, we will be peaceful, we will become happy, rather than doing this abhasa business, what is told in the translation. A dim reflection or a false similarity. That means we try to do things based on our own speculation. Our own speculation. We are very good at speculating. We are very good at speculating. We always think, and we think that is very logical also. Most of our speculations we do thinking that we are logically thinking. Completely forgetting the fact that Krishna is beyond any logic. You cannot apply mundane material logic in trying to understand Krishna. But we can apply instructions in the Shastra to understand Krishna. So our idea of hearing the Bhagavatam, studying the Bhagavatam, and meditating on the words of the Srimad Bhagavatam is so that we can understand our relationship with Krishna better. We have no other business studying this Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita. Our sole and whole business is through the study of these literatures, we are properly situated so that we can practically understand our relationship and try to execute that process which will further improve that relationship with Krishna, which is currently non-existent. Therefore, Varna, Ashrama, whatever condition we may be, so we may think that it is easier said than done. It is easier said than done. If somebody is a sannyasi, for him everything is easy. Or if somebody is a vanaprasthi, for him everything is easy. Or if somebody is a brahmachari, for him everything is easy. We think like that. And the general consensus is that for grihasthas everything is difficult. There is a general consensus. Because there is a sangha of grihasthas, I'm saying. It's a common thought for everyone that in grihastha things are sort of doubly difficult when compared to other ashramas. Right? But on closer inspection, we will find in Kali Yuga, Brahmacharya ashrama is also very difficult. Vanaprastha is practically impossible to consider and execute. Same for sannyas. Therefore, according to Puranas, even sannyasa is prohibited in Kali Yuga in its proper sense, because it's almost impossible to execute properly. Therefore, difficulty is there for all the ashramas. Difficulty is there for all the varnas. It is because of the three gunas and the conditioning that we have, being influenced by these three gunas. Whatever varna, whatever ashrama, difficulties are there. Each varna and each ashrama has a difficulty that is unique to that particular varna or ashrama. It need not be same for everyone. But look around, check around, and we will find that difficulty is there for everyone. That is why this easy path has been given in Kali Yuga. Because if you sit and try and execute all the karma kanda instructions, as given in the Vedas, practically it is impossible. It is practically impossible to execute them properly. We can make a show of executing. Therefore, we have been given this process of chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra as something that will surpass all those ritualistic activities which we are supposed to be performing. If we are to be strictly adhering to this Varnasrama Vidhi, there are so many things that we are supposed to do. But most of it we cannot do properly because of our situation in Kali Yuga. And this chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra actually is given so that it completely covers for all those shortcomings. It completely covers all those shortcomings that may be there in the execution of Dharma. So we don't have to go elsewhere, look for some alternative or look for some new religion, as Srila Prabhupada says here. We don't have to go after some concocted neo, whatever you may call it, and then become affected by it and think that, now I have become this, now I have become that. I am doing this sadhana, I am doing that sadhana, I am this sadhaka, that sadhaka. Ultimately, one day we will find that it was all simply our mind telling us something. But in the process of Krishna consciousness, as instructed by Srila Prabhupada, we are always very careful about this Shastra Vidhi, is it not? Because Prabhupada, in the last sentence of this purport, Prabhupada says that the real aim of life is to mitigate distress, and one can do this very easily by following the principles of Shastra. Prabhupada is very nicely quoting this, practically he is repeating Krishna's words in the 16th chapter, Tasmat Shastram Pramanam Te Karya Karya Vyavastito Jnatva Shastra Vidhanoktam Karma Kartum Iharhasi. Krishna tells Arjuna that you should understand what Karya Karya Vyavastito Jnatva Shastram Vidhanoktam. Knowing Shastra Vidhi. What is Shastra Pramana? What is Shastra Vidhi? Karma Kartum Iharhasi. That is actually the instruction of Krishna. Krishna also says that you first acquaint yourself with Shastra. Why? Because if we do not acquaint ourselves with real Shastra, then we will end up being introduced to all kinds of false Shastras. All kinds of false Shastra. The extent that people will tell you that there is no God outside of you, there is only your God. And you simply do these things, that's more than enough. You live a good life, you help other people. So much of unwanted, nonsensical things people speak. And because, unfortunately, the audience does not have any idea of what is real Shastra, they have no understanding whatsoever. That is one of the reasons why Srila Prabhupada insisted on this book distribution a lot. Because Srila Prabhupada has curated each page of it. Even if one reads one page of book, he will know what is Shastra. Prabhupada's IQ, if they had ever measured it or whatever it is, they would have found that, he had superhuman IQ. That is why very confidently he said that, somebody reads one page of my book, his life will change. So you will find Srila Prabhupada giving similar messages in different ways of presentation in practically every page of all his books. Because once we read even a little bit of Prabhupada's purports, or even a small book written by Prabhupada, like Introduction to Krishna Consciousness, Krishna, the Reservoir of Pleasure, take a small book. Once we become acquainted with Shastra properly presented, there is a minimum guarantee that when we hear nonsense, we will be able to immediately call out that it is nonsense. This is one of the greatest advantages of reading Prabhupada's books. The moment you hear one sentence nonsense, you will be able to catch it. You may not be an expert in Prabhupada's books, no need. But at least we will be able to call out nonsense. That way we will know that this, whatever this person is speaking, however scholarly he may sound, we will know that he is speaking nonsense. So that we will be able to treat it accordingly, by giving only that much importance to that. Like once Srila Prabhupada's disciple told, nonsense spoken in Sanskrit is also nonsense. So just because somebody speaks long sentences in Sanskrit or quotes Sanskrit verses does not mean that, oh, he knows so much Shastra. But because we don't know, we think that he is speaking, Sanskrit means it must be something. Because he is speaking Sanskrit, we think that he is great Pandit. But because we don't know Shastra, we think that what he is speaking is something very important, something very authoritative. Therefore, it is very important to understand. Because we don't know Dharma, we have little knowledge of Dharma. So it is very easy that it is very easy to get cheated. So in order to not get cheated by all kinds of this pseudo New Age religionists, pseudo New Age Dharma, we should know. We should have minimum understanding. We should have minimum understanding. That will come when we read Srila Prabhupada's books daily. Whatever little bit we can do. Through all the difficulties that we have, we can devote some time. And thereby that becomes sort of our armor that protects our chanting, our Krishna consciousness. Why this gets very important in this time and age is because there is so much of nonsensical advice coming from everybody. You will see social media influencers all over the world. They give you 2-minute, 3-minute gyan and they speak it so authoritatively. And people get carried away. But that 3 minutes, if we spend reading one page of Srila Prabhupada's any book, that 3 minutes cannot be compared to 100 3 minutes of 100 different influences. Actually, Srila Prabhupada, there is no influencer like Srila Prabhupada in the 21st century. Absolutely no doubt. He is the greatest influencer. Therefore, we should take shelter of the Srimad Bhagavatam through the purports of Srila Prabhupada, trying to understand the instructions properly as explained through the parampara. So that we don't have misunderstandings. Coming through the parampara is very important, otherwise we'll have misunderstandings. So that we know what is our dharma, why we should not go in a separate way, and why Narada Muni is saying that if I do my dharma properly, that is enough to mitigate all my material miseries. And as Srila Prabhupada says, the aim of our life is to mitigate all material miseries and ultimately leave this material world altogether pleasing Krishna, taking shelter of Krishna through Shastra. So Srimad Bhagavatam is our Shastra. Bhagavad Gita as it is our Shastra. And through that, our greatest influencer, Srila Prabhupada, is teaching us. So that we should always remember, be very conscious that I will be influenced only by Prabhupada. I will not be influenced by any other influencer. So that I remain safe. So that is the sum and substance of this shloka number 14 from the 15th chapter entitled Instructions for Civilized Human Beings from the 7th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. So I stop here. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagavatam Granth ki jai.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you so much for this very, very wonderful class, stressing the importance of Krishna consciousness and also the glories of Srila Prabhupada books and his writings and how it has benefited our life and each and every one of us. Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for bringing a very important point. Thank you, Prabhu. And I request devotees, if you have any questions or comments, they can ask now. Prabhu, we were talking about following the rules and regulations and as per Varnashrama and all that. And my question is, we always have the intention that which is favorable for Krishna consciousness, and if it is even if it is as per Dharma Shastra, if it is unfavorable, we can even skip that or take that. Yeah. So can you please give some points on that? How, what is the reference for that and how?
Sri, in basically this ashrama dharma, no, we have all these different yajnas, the Bhuta yajna and various Pitru yajna, Deva yajna. These are Panchamaha yajnas the Grihastha is supposed to do. Okay. But we cannot properly follow that. Because one thing is that there is no way to properly propitiate the Devatas because being Kali Yuga, they are not coming to accept our oblations. So we don't know. Okay. Then the other yajna is Pitru yajna. That is a very sticking point in Sanatana Dharma. That if I don't propitiate Pitrus, what happens? So in the normal course of thing, it is supposed to be done because we have that rina, you know, we have a certain obligation to all this. Why the Panchabhutas are worshipped? Because we are obliged for the air that we breathe, for the light that we get. Same way, Pitrus, because we have got this body through our father and mother like that. So that obligation is being fulfilled. Okay. But as the Acharyas say, as Kali Yuga progresses, the way of propitiating the Pitrus or the Devatas, everything is through Agni and through the Brahmanas. Because Kali Yuga has almost reached a stage where there are no qualified people to accept these things. Therefore, it is not 100% guaranteed that we are actually propitiating the Pitrus or we are actually propitiating whatever else other things that we are doing. Whether that those are all being effective, we don't know. So the best thing is, Shastra itself says that if you are doing everything for the pleasure of the Supreme Lord, automatically all the other yajnas that we are supposed to do, Bhuta yajna, if you have big property and any amount of animals that are there, all of them should be fed. This is a Grihastha's duty. Okay, but now what we have, we live in apartments, so we don't have any animals to take care of, for example, I'm saying. But can we make sure that all the cockroaches in the house are being fed properly? We don't want cockroaches in the house, right? So, like this, there are many things, if you're Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, you should do Sandhya Vandana 3 times a day. You have to do Tarpana on all Amavasyas. All these things are part of this Karmakanda system. But whether any of these things can be properly performed, not possible. You tell your office that, sharp 12 o'clock, I need a half an hour break because I have to perform afternoon Sandhya. They will say you can resign job, go home and sit and do your Sandhya. That's what they will say. Or, 1 hour before evening sunset, I have to, give me half an hour break. I want to perform evening Sandhya. Not possible. So how are you going to cope with all these things? You understand? So we have to simply surrender and chant the holy name and be 100% confident that this will take care of everything. Plus whatever little bit that we are able to do, we can continue. That doesn't mean that I outrightly reject everything that I have been doing all these years. And then, because also Acharya speak about lokachar, means, what the world will perceive about you. Especially when you say I'm a Vaishnava. And if you're not doing things properly while other people are watching, that also affects not only you, the whole Vaishnavas, it affects. So therefore, we have to find a balance between these two things. But intrinsically, we must always be completely surrendered to the chanting of the holy name, practice of bhakti, hearing of Srimad Bhagavatam, which will definitely take care of everything. Okay. I hope that helps.
Yes, Prabhu, thank you so much. That faith we should have, the conviction. Dear devotees, you have any questions or comments at this moment? Okay, Prabhuji, if there are no questions or comments, with your permission, we can end the call here. But really very, very happy for your association and this overall picture of how the devotee should see these rules and regulation. Very, very grateful for your class, Prabhu. Thank you so much. Will pay obeisances to Prabhuji and all the Vaishnavas. Vancha kalpatarubhyasya
Vanchakalpatarubhyasya
kripa
कृपा
sindhubhyascha
पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो
वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः।
अनंतकोटि
नमो
वैष्णव
नमः।
वृंद की जय श्रील
नमो नमः।
प्रभुपाद
प्रभुपाद की जय।
वृंद की जय। राधे राधे।
Thank you,
Hare
Prabhuji.
Jai Jai. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Hare
Namo
Krishna.
Nanda. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Gauranga,
Hare Krishna.
Nityananda.
राधे
Hare
राधे।
Radhe Radhe.